it's Lisa. I'm continuing on working with thickers, my thicker stash, and I've been told that there's no such thing as an ugly thicker. However, I think that might be in the eye of the beholder. These two sets came with some sort of grab bag thing that I did one time, and I got lots of thickers that I really liked, but these have been a challenge. I've actually used more of these than I would have expected. But this pink and black, I love the font. It's just not my colors. So I'm going to see what I can do about transforming these a little bit. A lot of times when I have something I don't like the color of, I will take the top of it and I'll get one of them here, and I'll peel the top off either with my fingernail or with a craft knife. But I'm going to be doing a really long title, and that's a lot of peeling, so I think we're just going to cover them, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. This particular set, I love the color, I just don't like the font. Some of the letters like that W, it's just not really working for me. So I'm not going to use it today, but it's just an example of one where I have a lot of letters. I'm just not quite figured out what to do with the letters. So we're going to use this. I also have some sets here from Basic Gray. They used to have this raw chipboard that I just loved, and I bought a lot of sets of it, and I have obviously used a lot of it, but I'm down to some of them where I don't have very much left, and I want to kind of clean these out and get some of these out of my drawer because they're taking up a fair amount of space. So I'm going to start a long title here, and I'll fast forward on the camera and talk as I go. Going to lay out my title here on the Ranger's craft mat because I'm going to be covering this with white gesso, and that'll coat it really well, and then I can add other paint or whatever I want to add, mist or whatever I want to add to it. And it says, "You are never too old for the swings." The photos you're going to see in a few minutes are ones that my husband took of me at the playground one day when there was nobody there. We were doing our walk, and I was just playing around on the swings. I've always loved swinging. Always loved swinging on the playground. I should be very specific there. Okay, the letters here, we're just going to coat everything with white gesso. Kind of, it doesn't matter if it's gloppy to me, because the technique I'm going to use is one that I learned from Wilna Furstenberg over at a class at 2Ps. That, unfortunately, of course, 2Ps is gone and that class is not available anymore. I've heard that at least some of the instructors are getting access to their class materials, so if I hear of that class being made available publicly again, I'll let you know because it's a wonderful class. But anyway, I'm going to be adding watercolors to these, so it doesn't matter if you get a gob of gesso on there, it actually makes it look even prettier. And I'm doing, in this case, multiple coats because that pink and black took a lot to cover it. I also have some twinkling H2Os, and I bought these at a crop, and I've only used them a time or two. They're really pretty. I'm not sure it's something I would ever buy again because they're watercolors. There is a limit to what I can do with them, especially with mixed media. But I have a regular watercolor set here, and I'm just experimenting with some different colors to match that photo. I had on a lavender top that day and brown pants, and then it was winter time, I guess, or early spring, so the ground and everything was kind of brown. Not a lot of color here, but I know I want to use some blues and lavenders, and that's another good reason to paint them because those are colors that are just almost impossible to find in thickers or stickers or anything. I've decided to add a little touch of brown and then a little bit of that blue. The twinkling H2Os have a glittery finish. It's not glitter, but they have a shine to them, and they're really beautiful. But as I say, they're limited to me when I do mixed media canvases and things. I don't want anything that's going to run when I add other layers, and watercolors do. So I probably wouldn't invest in any more of these, but I think they're really pretty, and that was something in my stash that I wanted to make use of. Just adding a few more colors to make sure that everything gets a coat of something. Now, I kind of wish that I had done swings. I definitely wish I had done it in either in a solid or a different color way or something, because I think it would have been a little bit nicer if it had been more distinctive in its colors. And I'll deal with that a little bit later on in the video, but here would have been a good time to do that. And I don't know why I didn't think about it, because I usually do my thickers multiple different thickers and colors and stuff. What I'm doing is adding some black marker around the edges. This is just a Stampin' Up marker. Just going around the edges to make these letters really show up. Alright, and here's our sketch. Now that our letters are done, I'm going to have 4 photos at the top, and the large element there at the bottom is a cut from the silhouette. I used some gray cardstock and cut out this little girl swinging. Then we have, we're going to have some flower embellishments, and I do need to pick some papers. Now normally I pick the paper first, and I don't know why I didn't do that here, but I had to go to my limited supply of lavenders and try to find papers that match. But fortunately I had quite a few, and that one there has on the background a paper that has some rust color in it that looks beautiful with the weird brownish tone of watercolor that I chose. So the star paper and that are not from the same collection, but they're going to work out really well together. So I just got really lucky on picking the pattern papers. And I thought I'd add a little bit of washi tape to this. I was thinking of some long strips at this point. Now earlier I was saying the beauty of thickers is maybe in the eye of the beholder. I'm sure that there would be people who would look at these thickers and say these are weird colors. They didn't like them. It's just what I liked and what went with my photos. So you know, one of the reasons to cover thickers is not, usually I'm doing it to match colors. It's not just because I don't like them, it's because I'm trying to match colors. So in this case it worked out for both. And instead of doing strips of washi, I thought I would just do some little snippets here, like I'm taping the photos down. This is probably why I'll have washi forever, because I use little bits of it a lot of times. I am going to use a little more here in a few moments. I will be gluing the title down, and I got to get all of this transferred over. I just kind of moved it across the mat there when I went from painting it white to painting it in watercolors. And now I'm going to move it one more time to get it in place for gluing the title down. Because I need to make sure I have plenty of room. This could have had journaling. I didn't put any on there, but there's plenty of space here if I'd scooted the title down to add journaling. And I do need to leave room for my flowers. So I've got that glued down, and I thought I'd use one of my punches that I haven't used in a while. This is a 5-petal punch, I believe, from Stampin' Up. I'm going to put down some layers of washi, since I have those out and they match. And then we'll punch those out. And it's just on a scrap piece of white cardstock. And I think the flowers would be better combined with a solid, so I have some of that lavender paper. And I'll probably get to use up some buttons. Buttons I think work with on a lot of layouts, but I think for this kind of a somewhat child theme, even though photos of me as an adult, but a playful theme, we'll say, layout. The buttons work really well. But I do think the flower is not big enough. So I went through a couple of scallop punches, and my largest one is really good for this. I do have a stamp set though that matches it, so I thought it might be fun to stamp this. I'm going to test it on a piece of scrap paper and punch it out and see how it works. But I may just stamp it right on the background. But before I get busy stamping that on the background, I thought I'd try it out and see if it looks like it's going to be a good fit. This is Sahara Sand ink, which is similar. My background paper is from Michaels. It's just a cardstock that they have. That's a very, very, very light taupe. I don't remember the color. I did look the last time I bought it, but I didn't write it down, so I didn't remember by the time I got home what that color was called, but it's just a very light gray, taupish gray, and it's a really pretty color if you don't want white or ivory. And I kind of screwed up there. I stamped the image and it went on the little girl's foot, but I don't think that's going to hurt anything. We can live with that. Okay, we're all finished up here with the 3 flowers. This one I stamped on some Sahara sand cardstock and then just punched out and added the date to it. And then these 2, of course, stamped directly on the background. You can see how glimmery the letters came out thanks to those twinkling H2O watercolors. And a little washi tape in a few places and the silhouette. And I decided this one just didn't need journaling. It's kind of self-explanatory. But there's plenty of room, you know, to add some journaling here certainly and condense that title a little bit. So followed the sketch really closely with the 3 flowers. The only thing I did different was I didn't put journaling up here, which I had left space for on the sketch, or you could, and what I did here was put the washi tape on top of each of the photos. So thanks for joining me and looking at another way to use thickers. I have several other videos this month that have to do with using thickers, and I'll try to be linking some of these together, so if you'd like to watch some of those. I'm finding that I'm really enjoying these layouts. Some of them were things, this was something I was going to scrap, I just wasn't a real high priority, but I think it's come out to be a fun page. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you'll check out my blog for other projects and products that I have available.